go.
Good afternoon, Tuesday, June 21st. This is the BatX Release Show. I'm your co-host, Josh Ingalls, joined always with the man himself, Derek Carty. Great to see everybody in the chat coming off an impressive 7-1 plus 6.33 unit, plus 20.85% ROI on the season. June has been good to us, Derek. How are the markets looking today?
Yeah, it's been really nice lately. The markets look pretty good today. The strikeout market a little empty, but there is some definite value in a few other markets. So we're going to be jumping around to a few today. So yeah, I think we got some good ones.
Absolutely locked and loaded. 4 plays today for a Tuesday release show here with Derek Carty. So producer Mick's going to bring up our release procedure here just so we get everybody on the right page. If you're new to the show, this is what we do. We follow a pretty solid script to ensure that everybody can get the same number at the same price. So we'll start off by telling you which book has the best odds, give you some time to log in. Then we'll tell you which game we're betting on. Follow along, give you some time, get to that game. Then we'll tell you the market we're betting in. And then finally, we'll drop all 3 things. We'll tell you the player, market, and then we'll tell you the over, under, and the actual bet on it. So in saying that, are you ready, Derek, to drop 4 plays on Tuesday and stay hot?
Yes, I am. Let's do it.
Awesome. Release 1. This is the only one we're kind of fighting the market with and need to get out. So release number 1, we are at bet 365 for our first play. This can also be found at Betway, Unibet, Bet Rivers. Take your time, log in. The game we're looking at, Rockies at the Marlins. As we see, it's one of the early games. Not too early, just before 6-something game. Rockies at the Marlins. Head over to the player props tab. Right at the top, we're going pitcher strikeouts. Rockies, Marlins, pitcher strikeouts for release number 1 here today on Tuesday. Colorado starting pitcher Ryan Feltner, under 5.5 Ks, minus 130. Ryan Feltner, under 5.5 Ks, minus 130. This is at Bet 365, Betway, Unibet, Bet Rivers. Let us know where you got it and the number you got it at in the chat. I mean, like I said, this is about minus 150, minus 160 everywhere. These couple books are a little slow to adjust their number to where everybody else is. But here we are again, Derek, fighting against another rookie pitcher who he has hit the over in 4 of the last 5. So if you were just a quick prop handicapper and you saw that, you might want to take the over, but we have to respect the market here, which is going the other way. What do you like for the projection here?
Yeah, like you said, most of the big books have this, negative 160 or so right now. So really, once you get to negative 150, negative 160, I don't like it as much. But negative 130, I do like here. Feltner is not an especially good pitcher. He's not a very high strikeout pitcher, at least in terms of his underlying talent. He's made 5 starts in the majors this year. His strikeout per 9 is 10. But he is almost certainly not a 10 strikeout per 9 pitcher. And I think that's really what this line is based off of, kind of what he's done so far in the majors over a small sample size where he has gotten lucky. You look at his FanGraphs page, you look at the bat, you look at Steamer, you look at Zips. They all think he's an 8 strikeout per 9 pitcher at best. Most of them are in the 7s. And so that's really what this comes down to, is that he's a young pitcher, generally on a fairly short leash, doesn't go much over 90 pitches. And he has to get to 6 strikeouts. That's just a big number for a guy who's not good and who is probably not a very high strikeout pitcher anyway. He relies a lot on his fastball. He throws 95, but he also throws the fastball like 60% of the time, and that's not generally a recipe for a lot of strikeouts.
Fantastic, guys. We see the chat talk a bit there. Minus 135 at DK from Malinsky. Minus 140 at Barstool from Andrew. Was at minus 150. Reed Phillips says there. So Feltner under 5.5 Ks. And as I head over and turn my head to FanGraphs, we see the bat with a 7.78 K per 9 projection here. And like we saw with the graphic there, almost a full strikeout of projected value. So jumping over to release number 2. We are at DraftKings. Find your way over to DraftKings. This one's probably book specific too, because this one is also going the other way in the market here. So the game we're looking at, also the early game, Dodgers at the Reds. The Los Angeles Dodgers at the Cincinnati Reds. Dodgers at Great American Ballpark today in the afternoon. I believe the temperatures are in the low to mid 90s there today.
Yeah.
Dodgers, Reds, the prop market we're looking at. DK's layout right there. Go to pitcher props. We're going pitcher outs recorded. Dodgers, Reds, pitchers outs recorded for release number 2. We are going Dodgers, Tony Gonsolin, under 17.5 total outs recorded at minus 115. Dodgers at Reds. Tony Gonsolin, under 17.5 total outs recorded, minus 115. If you watch the show, you see a trend that there is an edge to, and a lot of it comes down to environment. And here we are at Great American Ballpark, like I said today, with temperatures probably as hot as they've been at that ballpark all season. Everybody knows Gonsolin's a stud. 0.81 ERA at home, but 2.10 on the road. So his splits favor us here. Little slight breeze blowing out to left. What do we like here, Derek?
Yeah, a lot of this is like you said, environment based and volume based and perception based. That's where we find a lot of edges with these things, and we kind of have all three going on with Gonsolin. He's a Dodgers pitcher. Dodgers pitchers generally, their back end guys, do not have very long leashes. Gonsolin's baseline pitch count is like 80 pitches or so. When he pitches well, he can push up, into 90 or whatever. But this is not a guy who's allowed to throw a lot of pitches. And he's succeeded this year because he's been so efficient and, quite frankly, so lucky. You mentioned his home and road ERAs are both amazing. His overall ERA is 1.42. He's not a 1.42 ERA pitcher. Literally nobody is. He's a good pitcher, but he's closer to a 4 ERA pitcher than, a 1 ERA pitcher. So once he starts getting hit around a little bit, he's not going to go this deep into games that he's been going, because he's going to be giving up runs. He's going to be giving up hits. He's going to be giving up walks. The pitch count's going to get driven up, and he's not allowed to throw a lot of pitches. And so this is a spot especially where I think we should expect the natural regression that is inevitably coming, to definitely start hitting him a little bit today. The Reds are not the best offense in baseball, but they are getting healthier. Jonathan India is back. Mike Moustakas is back. They're decent, and it's the second best hitters park in baseball with 92-degree weather. So this is a spot where we really just expect Gonsolin to regress, to get hit around a little bit, and that short leash to really kind of get yanked, sooner in terms of innings and outs than it normally has for him. So I like this quite a bit. I like the strikeout under too, but I think the out under especially has a lot of value.
Milo Kaminsky in the chat. Gonsolin has been stupidly lucky on his batting average and balls in play, sub 200 most starts this year. As I bring it up, as I apologize, I look off screen. I'm just looking at the screen. We see Gonsolin with 0.182 batting average and balls in play this year.
It's ridiculous. Like, that's not going to continue.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, his career numbers are actually pretty low, but that's unsustainable. So, like you said, it checks a lot of boxes. Environment and perception is a great one here for Gonsolin, who obviously can't keep up these numbers for sure. And a tough matchup today at Great American Ballpark. So Tony Gonsolin under 17.5 outs, minus 115, minus 133 at DK. Johan Eden said. Craig Thompson got that number. Fantastic. Jumping over to release number 3. We're at DraftKings here. DK moved to -110, says Jake Ewan. That usually doesn't happen. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Odd, but I like it
Yeah,
even more.
never see everything's going the other way. Sorry to put you on the spot, Derek, but John Carlson does ask, how many Ks do you have for Gonsolin's projection today, if that number is readily available?
3.8. So like I said, I do like the under on 5.5 strikeouts for him also.
Nice. There you go, John. Nice quick answer from Derek himself. Okay, getting back to release number 3. We are at DraftKings, but if you have Will Hill, the best number is there, but most people probably on DraftKings, so we'll stick to this book. The game we're looking at, Royals at Angels. Take your time, scroll. We're in some 6 o'clock games. This one's a little later on the West Coast. Royals at Angels. Prop market, we are looking at stolen bases. So if you're at DK, go over to player props, scroll down. I think it's the 6th one down. As you all, we talk about this sometimes, Derek, about how important it is to know the layout, because sometimes it's better. You need to be able to navigate these menus pretty quickly. So
yeah,
certainly something we're getting better at going through all these books. Royals, Angels, prop market, stolen bases. For release number 3, we are going Kansas City's Whit Merrifield over 0.5 stolen bases, plus 600. I believe it's plus 640 over at Will Hill. That number's there. With most of these stolen base markets, there are some pretty good price discrepancies, so it pays to shop around. Whit Merrifield over 0.5 stolen bases. And if you're a fan of the show, you were probably, maybe you had a little money on Noah Syndergaard to give up a few stolen bases yesterday. I believe he gave up 3. The Royals swept 4 bags in total, including Merrifield, who took his 9th stolen base this season. Hitting leadoff, so that's a good check mark. 2 stolen bases over his last 4 games, another check mark. Are Suzuki and Stassi also targets here in the stolen base market?
Yeah, I mean, Syndergaard is obviously the guy that we love to pick on, but Detmers is pretty bad too, and Max Stassi is a big part of that also, at catcher. So this is a really favorable matchup to target as well. And obviously, the Royals like to run. Merrifield's one of the best stolen base guys in the game. Plus 600 is a really good number for a guy like that in this matchup.
Nice. So we see the implied projection versus the bat projection, pretty much double there. So, I mean, like you said, not the greatest offense, so they do have to get aggressive on the base pass, and we saw it yesterday. So hopefully something like that carries over, as we see in the chat. Plus 400 at Caesars for this. That's funny. Will Hill was 640. Caesars plus 400. 575 at 365 from Jared. So hopefully some of you guys hit the stolen base market yesterday, but we're digging back in, going back. Whit Merrifield over 0.5 stolen bases, plus 600 at DK. 4th and final release today. We're going back to the Great American Ballpark. Dodgers at the Reds. FanDuel and Caesars here for the best price. So FanDuel, Caesars, Dodgers, Reds. I don't think it's at Caesars, so I think this is just at FanDuel. This is the one. Yeah. This was the one that is not really widely available, and this might be the only book hanging the number, right? Yeah.
Yeah, not widely available, but the number's so good that if you have access here, it's one you want to hit.
And I don't understand why it's not widely available, but we'll get to that after. Dodgers, Reds over at FanDuel. Prop market we're looking at is home runs. I believe this is one of the only books that's offering it right now. So scroll over there. Just want to make sure that it is there. Yeah, fantastic. For release number 4, Dodgers at Reds, player prop market home runs. We're going Cincinnati, Brandon Drury over 0.5 home runs. Plus 750 here at FanDuel. What do we see? if producer Mick could make that a little bigger for my old man eyes, are we still getting that number right now, or it's already moved? Yeah. So yeah, we've lost. I mean, so there's still probably plenty of EV on this play at 640. Yes or no?
Yeah, I'm fine with it at 640. 750 was a really, really good number, but 640 is still fine.
Interesting. So Brandon Drury over 0.5 home runs. Just before the show was plus 750. As we did the show, went to plus 640. That might indicate that some other books have introduced that market, because the home run market was open, but Brandon Drury's home run market wasn't available in most places. So.
Yeah, it was only at FanDuel that I could find, but at that number was incredible. Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
No, Drury. I mean, he's pretty much won the most improved player in baseball award, whatever, 65 games into the season, 80 games into the season, 3 home runs over his last 6 games, an OPS over 1,000 in his last 15 games. And he has an OPS of 836 on the season, hitting out of the 2-hole in an actually pretty good lineup, like we mentioned before. As Andrew says, not on the board at Barstool or Caesars. Yeah, this is a weird one. He's also OTB at 365. Yeah. So what do we like here? And if people can't get that number now, what should give them a reason to stick around and wait for that market to open?
I mean, a lot of it has to do with the same stuff we talked about with Gonsolin before, because this is against Gonsolin. He's getting lucky. Regression's coming. It's the best park in baseball for home runs. It's super hot. It's just, the number is just way too good for what his actual chances are. Even at I mean, our EV does drop considerably going from 750 to 640, but it's still a good number that I'd be easily willing to hit.
Yeah, sorry, just bringing up Tony Gonsolin's Savant page right now. Average exit velocity, which is a slight indicator of, I don't know, some hard hit action, which is weird. He sits 50% in average exit velocity, but he sits in the top 4% in hard hit percentage. So those numbers are probably unsustainable for a guy who, I mean, what are we looking at a repertoire here of 37% fastball and then a splitter? So, I mean, high temps, good lineup, plus 640. What do you have for the projection for Brandon Drury today?
Yeah, his projection is 0.24, and it looks like it's plus 640. The new implied projection is about 0.15. So you're still getting, a pretty decent amount of edge here.
Nice. So, okay, perfect. So why did I put it in decimal? There we go. So just like we were talking about last time, 640 American odds turns out to a 13.5% implied probability. And you had it at what, 24?
Yeah.
Yeah, so nearly double expected value there, 7-8%. So we'll take that. So 4 plays today. If producer Mick could bring up the recap in what was another busy day fighting the market, as we see losing 110 points in a Brandon Drury play in 10 minutes. So Ryan Feltner under 5.5 Ks, minus 130 was the first play, followed by Tony Gonsolin under 17.5 outs. And then we went to the stolen base market with Merrifield over 0.5 swipes plus 600. Then we went back to Great American Ballpark. Brandon Drury over 0.5 home runs plus 640, missed the plus 750. So, I mean, expectations aren't what they were. So bet reasonably based on the information that we just gave you that we lost 110 points, but we still have maybe 9% of implied probability plus EV. So appreciate everybody there in the chat helping us out, letting us know where they got those prices. That will do it for us today on the Covers His Bat X release show. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe button, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at 11 a.m.